evening and welcome to episode 15 of In at the Side. I'm Dom Harbin. I'm joined by Scenario Neil and Craig Stewart. And tonight we're standing room only. We've got the two boys that do this.
Oh, there's no better place for them. But no better bloke at doing them really than Kirtley.
So close. Another inch. They're there. Northampton are claiming the try. Dylan Harlan. You couldn't ask for more drama. And Alex Waller off the bench in the final. It is a fitting finish.
Of course, we've got the Northampton front row, Alex Waller and Francois Van Wyk. How are you tonight, boys?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. What's keeping you busy during the lockdown period then? I suppose you get asked that all the time, but we'll start with an easy one.
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of woodwork, mate, and jobs around the house. I've got a little one, so he's keeping me busy as well. But yeah, got a pretty tidy workshop set up. Myself and Tom Wood do a few bits together. Obviously, not together at the moment, but we work in tandem via WhatsApp. But yeah, that's keeping me pretty busy. I'm actually busier than I am when I'm working. I'm looking forward to getting back to work to have a rest.
Yeah. And when you say woodwork, is that sort of like joinery? Is that making cabinets and things, or is that doing woodwork around the house?
A bit of everything, really. We sort of specialise in live edge furniture, so we make large slab tables. We mill all the wood ourselves from naturally fallen timbers around Northampton. We're quite lucky. We've got some good relationships with farmers. And then when trees come down, we just go and mill it up into slabs. It's quite labour intensive, and I won't bore you too much with it, but you know, a slab will take 2 or 3 years to dry before you can work with it. So
you won't bore me. I'm an ex-chippy, but I could talk about it all day. But no, that's
brilliant. We'll carry on afterwards.
Francois, what's been filling your time? I see you've been smashing out on the watt bike.
Yeah, so I'm just keeping myself busy with I'm making my own biltong at the moment. See how that's going. Quite good support from the local people, Northampton Saints supporters. So that's been going well. And then just keep myself busy around the house, doing some sanding and some painting at the moment.
And have Saints set you 2 targets? I mean, I know we were speaking to yourself, Francois, just before we started recording, but have they sort of set targets that you've got to hit and they check you up on you and that sort of thing and whilst you're off?
Yeah, it's quite an open conversation. We get our schedule in the beginning of the week, and then at the end of the week, we have a catch-up, and they just ask how's things going. And like me at the moment, I'm losing a bit of weight, so they gave me a bit of more weights and stuff too. So yeah, it's been brilliant.
Perfect. And what about yourself, Alex? Is it the same sort of thing?
Slightly different for me. Me and Francois are in different boats. I ruptured my Achilles 2 weeks before this whole mess started. So quite luckily I got in and had surgery before everything was on lockdown. But so I'm 5 weeks, 6 weeks post surgery now. So starting to walk without the boot and crutches. Quite fortunate. I managed to get a gym set up in the office, so I can do my weights and starting to do some watt bike now. Just sort of creeping in because the dad bod's coming a little bit with not being able to do much cardio. So I've been doing that and smashing Franner's Biltong, which is definitely worth checking out. It's I've had 3 packets.
Do I hear a free sample somewhere?
Yeah, I'll bring some. I will bring some.
Excellent. Now, Alex, I just wanted to touch on the start. Obviously, you came through the Saints Academy. You've always been with Saints. You in 2017-18 season, you hit the 150 consecutive appearance, which I still believe hasn't been beaten. Is that right?
It hasn't. No, I'll be surprised if it does. It's not blowing my own trumpet, but just the game's changing so much. Like when I was younger,
Yeah.
You could do so many games, but nowadays the game's so physical. I don't think that'll be. Fair play. If anyone does, I'll be the first person to pat them on the back and say well done.
Well, it's more than that now, isn't it? It's 200 games in total. Milestone passed. That was a while ago now. So,
yeah, I'm coming up. I think I'm about 28 off 300 now. So I'm creeping up.
Insane.
Perfect.
You got any tips that keep you going?
No, mate. Oh man, at the moment it seems to, like the last 2 years. I mean, my 150th game, my arm broke, so I snapped that in half on the consecutive 150th consecutive, and since then now, last season was all right. This season I managed to rupture my Achilles, so I'm catching up on all these injuries, mate. It just seem to be coming thick and fast.
Do you see yourself ever going anywhere else, or is that it? Are you going to stay at Saints, until you retire, or have you thought about spreading your wings elsewhere?
Mate, I'm always grown up watching Northampton, and I'm a local lad I'm only from Wellingborough down the road, so as long as they'll have me, I'll stay here, mate. So I think it's rare these days, and you don't get many one man, one club men who go through the professional game. That's just the way it is nowadays, and that's fine. But if I could, then I would for sure.
Perfect. And Francois, obviously you played a lot of rugby in South Africa from 2014 2017. Obviously moved over to Northampton then. How does English rugby compare to playing Super Rugby in SA?
Yeah, so I actually played Australia for 4 years, Super Rugby.
Good bit of research from you there, Neil.
Sorry, Dom.
But to be honest, I struggled quite in those 4 years, injuries and stuff. So never could get a lot of things on my back and stuff. Struggled quite a bit. The mental side struggled as well. Just before I came here, I was thinking of hanging up the boots and just move on because it was quite a tough time in Perth for me. And then came here and then it started playing games and stuff. And I think the club's been great for me. And I just feel like I'm getting where I am now. Enjoying my rugby.
Great. So you mentioned obviously the mental setbacks, and obviously in the UK you've got the RPA. Do they have that sort of support network over in the Super Rugby League?
Yeah, so it's quite with me when I had my thing. I didn't want to talk to someone in the beginning and stuff, and my wife at that time was my girlfriend. She could get up, and we had quite a good relationship with the assistant coaches because they were from South Africa, and they brought us over to the Western Force at that time. And she messaged one of them and said, "Francois in a bit of trouble." And then he just called me in and gave me a bit of. His wife went through a tough time, and he said, maybe just go listen to someone. And the first person I went and saw, I didn't click with the person quite well. So sacked that off and then tried a different person, and it clicked. And and it helped me quite a bit, to be honest. And then I used someone back in South Africa now and then, just on performance base.
In terms of the mental health side, obviously we support mental health awareness with Dodger Sevens. Would you say that there's a lot more support nowadays than there used to be, or is it a case of just people are waking up to it a bit more now?
I think there's more support, and I think people are more open about it, and I don't think they are too scared to talk. I think when I went to Australia and I didn't want to talk to people because I thought it will show a weakness. But I opened up. I felt much better just speaking to someone outside of rugby and learning me as a person and stuff.
Do you think it was easier speaking to a stranger than, sort of, say, a member of your family?
Yeah, so my wife, it was quite difficult. I would get annoyed with her, in terms of she will give me exactly the same stuff they give me. I think if you hear from someone close, you normally don't take it in as well. When you hear from someone who doesn't know you as well, and I just felt the message came across better, and I could open up more and get my feelings out and my frustrations. Yeah, so normally, I know she meant well and tried to help me, but I got just more annoyed in a way. But yes, of course, I think someone comfortable with can do good to you.
Perfect.
That's good. So, Alex, have you seen? Obviously, you've been at the club obviously your whole career, and you've seen the game change a lot. Obviously, now mental health is sort of coming more into the open world. Have you seen teammates that have come forward? Obviously, we're not going to get you to name names, but that feel that they can now come and talk to people and and talk about how they're feeling. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we and it's not something that like Fran said, to go and someone that like either myself or any of the boys in the squad, it's an option, but I don't think many of the boys favour that option. We've got two people really around the club that Boydie's quite keen on. So we've got Jez Stafford, who's the club chaplain. He's around once or twice a week, and you find the island really navigate towards him for advice and chatting. And we've also got a sports psychiatrist in, actually, for the first time in my career. We've had one that comes in every week called Mike, the dog walker. He brings his dog in. You can go for a dog walk with him and have a chat. So he's quite useful, and I think most of the lads have actually seen him, even just to introduce themselves and have a little touch base and have a chat, because I think it's important to build that little bit of a relationship before you start opening up to people. So he's massive, mate, and he's been in contact, I'm sure, with most of the boys. He has been with me in this time off, which I think is massive, especially for boys that are living on their own at the moment, without partners or children. So
here there.
Yeah, doing my bit to check in as well. But I think the boys definitely are more open and understanding towards that aspect of the game now than the old guard that had just been
just man up and get on with it.
Yeah.
So Alex, on that point, a local lad, a man who's come through Northampton and all the way through it. Have you seen a massive change, like in Northampton, in how they deal with it and how they cope with it, sort of lately, or is it stayed the same?
Well, it's been a massive change, and that's no disrespect to previous management or coaches by any stretch. It's just the way the game's gone and developed, and people's understanding of stuff and how important it is. Like, you spend so much time in the gym and doing training and watching film, and they say the game's 50% physical, 50% mental, but you're doing 90% physical training and very little, if any, mental training. So that's been an aspect that's been approached this last couple of seasons with the coaching staff, and we've got a young coaching staff as well, which I think helps. So that they were dead keen to bring Mike in and Jez as well, just to help the boys out and be there. It doesn't even have to be rugby related, as soon as well. As soon as stuff starts going wrong off the pitch, it soon shows in your performances.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is really important, and I think a lot of not just in rugby but sport in general and in life in general, mental health awareness is being pushed to the forefront. And you got the things of the unfortunate case of Caroline Flack, bringing it home and that sort of thing, and it's unfortunate that tragedies like that have to happen for people to start waking up about these sort of things. So it's it's difficult, but it's good to see that people are taking the steps and there is support for people there going forward. Just related to that, obviously we've got a lot of, with Dodger Sevens and anyone else that may watch this podcast or listen to it, there are people out there that either know people that are struggling themselves or are struggling. Do either of you have any tips for keeping yourself upbeat? Maybe, any training tips now the gyms are closed, what that people can do whilst they're at home?
It's a real personal thing, isn't it? For me, I like routine, so bring a schedule in. If I just be quiet. So I like routine, so I'll try and keep to something, and I'll have a schedule in my day, whether it's even 9 till 11, I'll be in the workshop, then I'll have lunch and then play with the little one and do some exercise that way. Obviously, I'm limited with what I can do at the moment. So, but getting outside, when I was in a cast and I couldn't do anything, and we were on lockdown, I mean, it's probably a bit naughty, but I just used to go out for a drive for half an hour just to see something different other than the four walls that I was in.
Yeah.
So I'd literally just drive out to the village, out the village, drive 20 minutes one way, drive 20 minutes back just to see some different scenery, just to keep the mind fresh a little bit. But
fair enough. What about yourself, Francois? Any tips for anyone else? Anything you've been doing that could help other people?
Yeah, I'm the same as Sue. I reckon like we get a schedule, so it's easy to stick with that. So I plan my days. I've got 3 or 4 running sessions a week, that in the morning, and then break it up, do stuff around the house and during the day, and then afternoon, that's when I will do my gym and stuff. So yeah, so I don't have any tips like what to do exactly,
Like
but
everyone does
if you're a big boy, just go on and do some cardio, I reckon.
I think that's aimed at me more than anything else. I need to do a lot of cardio. I put so much weight on.
Noted.
Going back towards the Premiership, diverting slightly, I'd like to ask you both separately. What is the ground you least like going to for Saints when you're playing against a team? Which ground do you think, oh, for fuck's sake, we're playing them again?
For me, it's very season dependent where we are in the season. But if it's the middle of winter, Bath is an absolute bog.
Yeah.
So you've got one in the pitch there that you're more or less underwater. So
yeah,
that drains the legs out a little bit. But in the summer, it's lovely because obviously Bath's a great city and it's very picturesque, sat in that old town. But middle of winter, when it's absolutely hammering it down, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
And what about with the fans? I mean, I'm a Gloucester fan. I like to think that the Shed gives players stick every week and that sort of thing. Are there certain stadiums, Francois, perhaps that you think you go to and you get a lot more stick than anywhere else?
Yeah, Gloucester's up there. I think I'll just say they're quite loud and noisy. They get into your head, your back is against the wall, so it's get quite tough. But like I'll say Bath as well, and then I don't like the artificial grounds. I think the way you're getting older, it's more on your joints and stuff. So we'll say Surrey and Worcester and Newcastle, maybe. It's not my favourite places to go and play.
Fair enough.
So yeah, just sticking on the Premiership. Obviously, you're just sat in 4th at the moment. You've had a good season. You're only 10 points off, I think, Exeter in 1st. Obviously, Premiership Rugby have made it clear that they wish to finish the season. Do you think it's important to get the season finished, or would you be quite happy, call it quits? Obviously, of how they, would you say the table's a fair reflection of everyone's season?
I think it's more of a bigger picture thing. Obviously, we're sat in 4th, and that qualifies us for Europe. And we'd be in semi-final rugby if it was to come to just playing the playoffs now, which is great. But as a league as a whole, I think financially it makes sense for the lads to start playing again when it's safe to do so. And obviously that all has to be taken into account and putting stress on medical resources and stuff. So. It's been the bane of my life the last 3 weeks. I've been I'm the RPA rep for the club and obviously captain as well. So I've been sat on phone calls and doing Zoom meetings like this for hours and hours on end with various people from CEOs to the boards of RPA. So I think as a league we need to at least get something in before the end of the season, or maybe let the season run through the summer. A little bit is, I think, it's an option. So I think it's important as a whole, as a league, regardless of us. But obviously, we're quite happy sat in 4th at the moment. And if it went just straight to semi-finals, obviously lads wouldn't be complaining because it's an opportunity to lift silver. So.
Always a good thing.
Yeah.
I noticed that Saints have obviously signed Tom James from Doncaster, scrum half. Have you seen him play before? Do you think he'll fit in well? What's the situation there?
No, I haven't actually. I haven't seen him play before. Will Chudley, actually, the 9 at Bath. Is it Bath? Yeah, I went to school with him. He knows him. So he's. I think Tom's going to give me a ring tomorrow just to find out a little bit about the club and whereabouts to live in Northampton or where not to live in Northampton. So I'll get to have a quick chat with him tomorrow maybe, but I haven't seen much of him. I don't really watch too much rugby outside of playing, obviously.
See, there's another one, Dom. Right? See, you're always on at me for not watching rugby, but
Well, you barely play either.
So I've got a couple of questions. Obviously, being rugby forwards, the banter's always up there, flying around. Who would you both say has the absolute worst banter at Northampton? Throw someone under the bus. Come on.
It is worst banter. What if they just don't even get involved in the banter?
I'm renowned for my dad jokes, and Dom just constantly has his head in his hands because I just like Tim Vine jokes, not like one-liners.
I love a dad joke. I love anyone that tries, mate. That's the thing. But
I'll take that.
Gets involved mainly because my chat's stinking as well. But Jamie Gibson just does not get involved. Any sort of crack. He's very much 9 to 5, in, out, takes his boat shoes, gets out the door, goes home. He shows up on a Saturday, so that's really all that matters. But yeah,
that's a massive positive, isn't it? You definitely do that.
But that is not his forte in any strength. Big chat, unless it's about barbecues, and he'll chew your ear off.
Well, we were talking about that before with Francois. I said I've got a South African mate, and I'm saying that he can't wait for the summer to get round, get all the broad balls on the go, and get, and we were saying, is it a part of the course that every South African invites you around for a barbecue at 3:00 and doesn't put the coals on till 5? And we're saying you're often eating your burgers in the dark, but no, it's
you've got to drink the brandy and the beer first, haven't you? Before you
exactly. It's like a way of life barbecuing, or Brian for the South Africans, obviously. But another question I've got then for both of you, I'd like to ask you separately. What has been to date your best rugby experience? So Francois first.
My best, yeah. I would say when I made my Super Rugby debut. So I went in South Africa. I had a bad back injury, and they wanted to fuse my back. And they said, like, if you're going to fuse your back, you won't be able to play prop. And like I've always been on the back foot, I reckon, because I've played 4 and then moved to 1 after school. And no one actually gave me the opportunity to play professional rugby. And I think with my transition to Australia on my own, the first year was quite difficult. Didn't actually get seen, and then I got an opportunity. And then, I also made my debut, my first Super Rugby debut, just like showed me I'm capable of doing it. And like I've done it every day, and like just gave me that confidence of this is really what I want to do.
Yeah, perfect. And what about yourself, Alex?
I've been very fortunate. I've had a fair few that come to mind. I think one for me that really sticks out is I'd always, like going through the age groups, I was overlooked for every sort of England setup. And I was very late to prop as well, similar to Francois. I left school and then changed to prop from back row. And then Graham Roundtree called me up into the Saxon squad, and then I was in the EPS for a bit, but for Six Nations, but pulling on an England shirt for the first time. It was just a Saxon shirt, but
there's no such thing as just a Saxon shirt, mate.
Well, it wasn't a fully capped game, but it was the first time I'd ever worn an England shirt, and I was that was a proud moment. So that was one for the memory books.
Excellent. Well, unless you guys got another question, I've got a bit of a scenario for you boys.
Here we go.
Right, basically the scenario is
marry one.
There you go.
You got to marry.
Well, funnily enough, that was coming up now. That was one of the scenarios, but this one is you're in lockdown, quite predictable, obviously. Now you're in lockdown for 2 weeks in one house in a studio flat, right? You're not allowed to leave the flat at any point. People are bringing you food and drinks. Who, out of anyone you've ever played rugby with, would be the absolute worst person to be in that lockdown with for 2 weeks? Who would make it a living hell?
The same person.
If you want to go for the same person, you can, but I want a reason off both of you, please.
I'll go with Gibbo.
And I'm guessing you're going to choose him as well, Alex, were you?
I was, yeah. I'm trying to think of something different now.
We might have to get Gibson on to defend himself.
Yeah, defend his honour.
Yeah, Just tell him it's a barbecue work podcast. He'll be straight on. Yeah, I think like he means like, we slate him. He means well, but he's just like his chat is just heinous, and it is all about what he wants to talk about. So regardless of what you're talking about, somehow he will edge his conversation in and then just completely annihilate you with detail about it. So you know, the lads call him, I said this in the article the other day, so I'll say it now. The lads call him the Dementor, like Harry Potter. So he sucks all the energy out of you.
I wanted to touch on something. I mean, you're probably bored of talking about this. People have asked you about this since the incident, I imagine, countless times. But the Marler incident in the Six Nations. Now, is that just props being props? Is that something that you guys have been guilty of in the past, or do you think he stepped beyond the line there, what he did?
After you,
What are your thoughts, Francois?
I don't know. Some people, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. No comment.
So it's not something that we can see you doing next season, then?
No, I'll most probably.
But I think, look, you got to look at it from a obviously, if you isolate that incident, took everything out of context, then yeah, it's not ideal by any stretch. But you got to look at there's probably a relationship there from the Lions tour. You know, they're going to be friends, and you know, I've seen a lot worse done on a pitch, and that doesn't excuse it by any stretch. But taken out of context, yeah, it's a bad thing. But you know, they've probably got a friendship and a relationship off the pitch. And you know, I know when I play my brother, I always want to hit him the hardest, and I'll cheap shot him every now and again. So, you know, it was I imagine a spur of the moment thing that probably regrets a little bit. But you know, he's probably just a friend, and he was just giving him a gentle tap. But by that, no means does that excuse him. But out of context, it looks worse than it is, I think.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And if
talking, go on now. No, you go. There you go.
I was just going to ask, obviously, with social media and everyone with the amount of time we've got on our hands at the moment, you've probably seen some of these skills videos that, you know, the All Blacks are doing and some other rugby, you know. And have you ever thought of doing something like that for from yourselves? Like doing sort of videos, keep yourself active or anything? Any tips?
No, I keep it basic. Just do some scrum setups and stuff. Calls all the backs.
Yeah, it's not really our game from 1 to 8.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure a scrum setup video would go viral the same way.
Yeah, probably not.
Could think of a few. I'd love to watch that.
Depends on your audience, right? I'd definitely watch it, but you know, just me, right?
At least.
Perfect.
So just talking, obviously, we chatted rugby and Neil scenarios. Obviously, both keep busy off field. Alex, you got a pizza business, Slice Baby, is it?
Yep.
So what sort of prompted that startup? Because obviously you ran it with your brother.
Yeah, it's me and my brother. So we okay, I'm going to throw it real back now. So we me and my brother and my dad used to be in a band with a couple of other people, like it's a proper family band. So anyway, long story short, we're at a gig doing a wedding, and there was a bloke doing it, and we were like, this can't be that difficult. And the pieces were really good, and he just smashed them out in like a minute. And I was like, well, this can't be that difficult, surely. I was like, can't be that hard, surely, but it turns out it is pretty difficult. Yeah, so then me and my brother thought we wanted to do something outside of rugby, and we're both fat, so we enjoyed pizza. So yeah, we started doing that, and yes, it's one of the things. I've got a few other things, man. I think it's really important, and that obviously ties back into keeping yourself busy now, especially to have a few interests outside of rugby and prepare for the end, because it's definitely it definitely comes around quick. All my mates are starting to retire, and it's just sort of me and Woody sort of just looking at in courts from that have been there for the whole time I've been there. So, but yeah. So the pizza van is something that keeps us busy. We're probably looking to expand it at some point, but it's mainly in Worcester, so Beef runs it, and I'm more of a silent partner at the moment. But I do gigs when I can and help him out, and it's hot by that oven. I tell you, it's like 500 degrees, the oven. So you come out and you got a tan on one side of your body where it's just been next to it.
And then obviously, Francois, you got your Biltong, FVW Biltong. How did that come about? Obviously, we discussed it before, but obviously, I see all the Instagrams of you making it in your house. It looks amazing.
Yeah, so I'm just starting to test it out, see if people like it, and then I will go bigger. I'll ask Alex Weller to make me another Biltong box. So yeah, I just thought someone just came around and said, why don't you, because I make always for myself, and someone said it tastes pretty good, why don't you just give it a shot? I think with the support of Biltong. Sorry
to interrupt there. I was going to say, what is the process making Biltong then? What have you got to do to it? Is it just completely drying it out?
Yeah, so basically what you do is I do it a bit differently, I think. So I put it in vinegar and Worcestershire sauce, or however you say it, and then overnight. And then the next day I will put my spices on it. And then I will hang it. It depends how big the pieces are and how big the cutter is, but normally between 2.5 to 3-4 days of hanging.
Amazing. Can't wait to taste it.
And then you cut it up and eat it.
Neil's just come on here for free samples.
That box is coming, mate. I just can't get to any DIY shops at the moment.
No worries. I think that was perfect, guys. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can get you back on when the season either gets going again or starts again next year, and have a bit of an update. If that's all right.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
I'll try not to pest you on the Wellingborough Road again, Alex.
No worries, mate. Money.
Can't guarantee it. Was he? What I want to know, Alex, was he shirt off drunk? Because this is a phrase we've got.
He wasn't. His shirt was on at this point.
Oh right.
Shirt was on.
Shirt off drunk. Everyone just runs for cover. And shirt off drunk Dom is not a good thing. He was riding one of our rugby players around the rugby pitch last time he was in that situation.
Where you're into.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's definitely getting cut out.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, mate. Anyway, thanks very much, guys, and hopefully we can catch you again soon.
Nice.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.